we're going to open this meeting, joint meeting with the town of Underhill, for Jericho opening at 5:32.
And I'm Bob Stone, the chair of the Underhill Select Board, and we are also going to be calling our meeting to order at the same time. And if I could just start and just say, the town of Underhill thanks the town of Jericho for hosting this year's get together, and we look forward to working in collaboration with you guys to discuss the matter before us.
Thank you, Bob. We appreciate you being able to come here and so that we can all listen at the same time and the same information. It's going to be presented by the Matt Champlin, the chief of the UJFD.
Perfect. Thank you. Yep, Matthew Champlin, resident of Jericho, chief of the Underhill Jericho Fire Department.
Is there public comment?
Not for this one.
Wait,
I'm sorry, Underhill has public comment.
The Underhill agenda has public comment.
Oh, okay.
I'm so sorry.
Okay, that's fine, because we didn't put it on ours. We put it for a public comment on the next one.
Oh, okay. Well, we do have
But if you have a public
we have a little
comment,
comment. We do have a comment period that's open to the public. So happy to
Sure.
have you speak. If you could list your name and where you live for the record, that'd be great.
Chuck Lacey in Jericho Center. My interest in speaking is about water in Jericho Center as it relates to fire protection. As I don't know if you know, but Jericho is undergoing major revisions to its planning to dramatically increase the density of housing in Underhill Flats and Jericho Corners and Jericho Center, which is something I strongly support. The town plan of Jericho for many years has spoken about water in Jericho Center, and we all commonly understand, at least I do, hearing from people who know more than I do, that water is essential to fire protection in Jericho Center. And since Jericho intends to dramatically increase the density of housing to certainly permit that to happen in Jericho Center, I think it's important that the town be speaking with the fire department about water in Jericho Center. I think one of two things needs to happen. Either Jericho needs to put in the budget money for preliminary engineering to bring water to Jericho Center, or there needs to be an agreement between the fire service and Jericho that water is not needed for fire protection with additional housing density in Jericho Center. If neither of those two is achieved, I think it'd be important. I'd like to see the select board instruct the planning commission to meet the housing that it hopes to achieve by additional density in Jericho Center some other way. Hope that water is available in Jericho Center and that we can dramatically increase the housing. My understanding is at this point, it may or may not. I certainly think the town needs to investigate whether it's responsible to dramatically increase housing in Jericho Center without water for fire protection.
Thank you. Your comment is welcomed, and we'll make sure that's part of our record.
well, thank you as well. I mean, it'll clearly be part of our record because it's being recorded.
So we're open to discuss the fire department. That's the next thing on our agenda. So
Okay,
it's a little awkward. So just like we'll defer to you to take it from here, type of thing, and we'll sit back and signal to you if we need to or whatever.
Go for it. You're here. Both of us are here, and we had already started opening it. So if you wish to start the discussion, we're ready for that.
I guess I would just say thank you, Matt, for coming tonight to talk to us about the budget. I know that a couple of our folks have met with you along with representatives from the town of Jericho, and hopefully tonight we can get closer to the possibility of approving a budget jointly, and we can also fulfill our contractual agreement or obligation to agree upon what percentage of this budget that both towns are going to agree to pay. That's what we need to. I'm looking at Brad, and I'm getting the third base sign coach sign, you know, saying that.
No, I'm just saying, we're here to accept the budget. The voters are gonna approve the budget.
Right.
Right, so we'll accept the
That's
budget
the,
as,
I mean, that's the difference between the two words.
yeah, so we need to accept it, so it's just like,
Okay. So we did meet. We have a limited agenda tonight, time tonight, so I can't do my normal pitch and walk everybody through everything. So hopefully you've seen the budget, you've got it. We did provide significant level of detail like we always try to do. Were there any questions? Does anybody have any questions about any of the line items in the budget? Last year's where we ended up, capital plan changes, anything that I can address? I'd rather start it that way to see if there's any questions. Take the time to address those first.
Yeah, so on the Jericho side, I was the representative that was able to meet, and I got all my questions answered, and we'll make a recommendation. I don't have any questions. There was one question that Maureen asked that I think it's worth entertaining during this section, and I like that, but other than that, I'm good.
And just as a part of the record, we briefly chatted at the beginning of the meeting, but I just appreciate you laying out the different options for ways to implement or utilize the some of the excess funds from this year that were not part of it, and kind of the best way to use those moving forward. So I really appreciate you taking the time to kind of lay those out in different options
Sure.
for kind of the full discussion to go through what is jointly thought to be the best way.
Okay, so the original budget proposal was to roll $40,000 of unused money from the 23-24 fiscal year into basically a transfer of reserves to offset the income needed from the towns to support the budget. So it was a total of 40,000. One of the specific question that was asked was, hey, what happens if you, what are the options to do with that money? So one of the things I did was a level funding request from 24-25. So from the budget fiscal year that we're in to next year, basically requesting a 0% increase from the taxpayers. What that would do is that would allow us to roll over $9,603 to next year's budget. We would put that in reserve, and then at next year's fiscal request, 26-27, we would have that to offset the request from the taxpayers. I did prepare two other options. Current option is a 1% decrease to the taxpayers. So I did a 0.5% decrease. And I'm not sure why the numbers are all working out this way, but the 0.5% decrease lets us roll over $5,000 to the following year. And then if I just took the 40,000 and split it 50-50, $20,000 for 25-26, $20,000 for 26-27, that would result in a 1.11% increase to the taxpayers. Fire department met on Tuesday night at our business meeting. We felt that the best option would be to roll the $40,000 into next year's budget, use it up, and then again, I would hope that at the end of the 24-25 fiscal year, we would end up with a surplus again that we could roll. But one of the things our treasurer did do for us Tuesday night is we're about halfway through the year and we're about halfway spent. So, we're pretty much on track for where we expected to be. So.
Yeah, because that's one of the things I was, considering that, some of the incremental increases for, 25, the budget for 2025 and, compared to 2026, 2024, and then what 2026, to know whether there was going to be any changes halfway through.
Yeah, we're about right. The other thing I can do is I can go through the various line items. A lot of line items are minor changes. There are a few larger changes, line items. If you want me to just address those real quick, I can.
I think that's a good idea for anybody who's watching or if it'll be part of the record.
So if you want to scroll down all to the budget request, there you go, that one. So in the budget request, we're level funding paid on call, we're level funding full-time salary. We are asking for an increase in the medical benefits. That is more than just medical benefits. We are asking to get vision and dental for our full-time staff this year. So there was about a 12% increase in the cost of medical benefits, staying with the same Blue Cross Blue Shield plan. We did compare a couple of other plans, and the Blue Cross Blue Shield worked out the best for us. And then we through the Vermont Health Connect, we IMED and it's VSP and Delta Dental that we can get through the Vermont Health Connect. And we did include funding to get those programs for our 2 full-time staff. Other fire agencies that have full-time staff can offer that and more. So for retention purposes, we've had a lot of turnover. People come here, they get a start, they're going to Williston or South Burlington or Burlington, and we're trying to figure out ways to retain the employees.
Can I just interrupt for just a second? Okay, perfect. Just wanted to make sure everybody could see it. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries. So that is something that we're asking to add to the budget this year. That's probably one of the largest increases. Payroll taxes are going up. There's the new Vermont child care payroll tax. So we've added the funding for that. We as an organization have decided to pay for that for the employees. That's the option. You can split it, but we decided to do that. Big decrease in workers' comp. We had some injuries fall off. Our modifiers down a little bit. The last couple of years, we've been way underspent, so we did lower the budget with that. That number of 21.2 has come from our insurance carrier, our agent. All of these insurance numbers come from our insurance agent. And if I go back the last 4 or 5 years, we're slightly over on some, slightly under on others. But if you look at insurance at the end of the year, we are pretty much within 1 or 2% of what we say we're going to be. So she's predicting in October a policy that takes effect the following July and hitting it by 1 or 2%. I'm good. I'm happy. I'm gonna go with the numbers she gives us. I'm not gonna second guess.
That's significant.
So we did increase vehicle maintenance somewhat. Our trucks are older. We're having to do more work. We're having to do frame repairs. We're having to undercoat to try to preserve frames. We've had a truck on order for 2 years now. Found out Monday that it's going to likely be another year before we can even get it. So, we've got to keep the fleet that we have running. So that's just costing more money for us. So we did increase that line item slightly. Moving down, firefighter safety equipment, we did increase that. Again, that's an inflationary pressure for things that we have to buy for the firefighters for safety. We decreased the amount in physicals. We found we weren't spending that much, and in working with our physician and the plan that she has, we felt comfortable doing that, so we did that. We reduced the awards and appreciation. Capital is purely a function of the capital plan, and so while I understand that's a large increase, that's been the plan got significantly revised because we can't get trucks, but that's purely a piece of the capital plan. So that was while it's a large increase, it was not unexpected, and that's why we're taking 88,000 out of capital reserve and offset in the budget this year. And again, that was part of the plan. New capital purchases, the only thing that's on the radar for 25-26, there'll be a truck in there now, but for 25-26 is a set of radios that we do have a grant request out for. So hopefully we can not even spend that if we get the grant, but we'll have to see what happens.
There your surplus would be right there.
I'm hoping.
My what?
Yeah. And so it's a $48,000 budget for the radios with $10,000 down, and we take a loan for the rest, and then pay the loan over the years. That's how we try to minimize the capital expenses. So those are the big changes in the budget. But really a lot of this, I guess you could call vehicle maintenance discretionary, but I got to keep them running. I think the insurance is going to be the insurance cost. There's not much I can do about that. Some other small increases here and there in supplies that we need to keep things running within the organization. We are on track to run over 700 calls this year. 700 last year. We're on a pace to probably get closer to 800 this year. It's not going down.
You want to talk about the, basically the capital plan,
Okay, yep. So the capital plan changed. The trucks that we signed contracts to buy, we had to buy the chassis separate from the body. The chassis are both built. We had to buy those chassis. So we did expend $74,400 last year to buy the chassis for the new squad. We did spend $155,610 this year to buy the chassis for the new engine. What we have decided to do was to borrow from our capital fund to pay for those. And when we get the actual truck and take the loan, we'll take the loans for the full value and pay the capital plan back. We'll pay that capital fund back. So didn't have to come to the town. We had the funding. We didn't have to come to the towns to ask for extra money. It's all, ultimately, it all ends up in the capital plan anyway. So we've got those, we've done that. We did come see both select boards last year about buying a ladder truck. That ladder truck fell through after a very thorough inspection. We were advised not to purchase that truck as it would likely come with significant maintenance costs to it. So we decided not to do that. We've continued to look. The issue that we're finding is to find a good ladder truck for $100,000 is going to get really, really tough. So the previous capital plan had a $100,000 ladder truck last year, and a few years out, a $350,000 ladder truck. Sell that one and move from there. What we've decided to do is not do the 350, cancel that, cancel the $100,000 ladder truck. We moved it out a couple of years, and we have in the plan.
C-728.
Yeah, it's a $500,000 used ladder truck. So a new ladder truck's anywhere between 1.1 and 1.8, depending upon what you get. So for 500,000, we're highly confident we can get a good truck that will last us, 8 to 10 years based upon how we would run it. So that's how we change the capital plan. We've pushed the trucks out, in the capital plan, depending upon when we'll get them, and adjusted what we're doing with the capital fund based upon that.
What is your recommendation for the budget options that you put in front of us?
So again, from a fire department perspective, our thought was to roll the whole $40,000 over. People are seeing significant increases in school taxes and all that stuff. And if we can, while our budget is going up, if we can offset the request from the taxpayers this year, hopefully next year is not as significant an increase. And if we don't have anything to roll over, yes, it would be a bigger increase for the fire department, but hopefully the factors around us won't be as significant as they are this year. So that was the thought. So the recommendation would be to use the whole 40,000 to offset. But
And your capital reserves remain, to me, they look healthy. You don't have any concerns on that capital reserve?
no,
I like your recommendation, and I really appreciate you taking the time to consider the increases and figuring out a way to work around. This is really, really helpful.
you're welcome.
So are we at the point in the town of Underhill where we want to entertain a motion to accept a proposed budget from Mass? I'd entertain that. If one of you want to make that.
Do you want to make it since you were the spokesperson? or-
Sure. So I move that we accept the budget as presented by the Underhill Jericho Fire Department with the recommendation of the original proposed budget, which would lower the request to taxpayers by the 1%. So moving the full 40,000 into this year's budget. Did I phrase that?
So the total budget is going to be 1,000,000.
$1,052,940.
$1,052,940.
Number stuck in my
There
head.
you
And then include what?
Of which, yeah, of which.
And of which the town of Underhill would be responsible for. $354,000, $354,935.
No.
Nope.
Next one over, 351,286.
351,286. My apologies. Thank you.
That would represent the 38%.
Correct.
And Patty, you're
I'm
seconding
gonna
that.
second that motion.
Is there any discussion on the town of Underhill side about the motion in the second?
Thank you, Matt, for all your work. I really appreciate all the diligence you put in.
You're welcome.
Are both dams online? Or is it, oh, just Dan Kelsey?
No,
Nope.
both Dans are here.
We can only see you, Dan Kelsey, sorry.
So,
Yeah.
are you ready for the question?
Yes.
All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed with a nay? Any abstentions? I'm going to abstain. So we'll do a roll call vote real quick. Bob Stone abstain.
Patty Richards, vote yes.
Maureen Collins Cole, I vote yes.
Dan Kelsey, yes.
Dan Steinbauer, yes.
So the motion carries on the town of Underhill side 4-0-1.
And with that, did you have anything else on the Jericho side?
No, I mean, we know that, we have people who periodically pay attention to what's on the Rivers account, but that can wait till town meeting reimagine, I imagine.
If you have a question about the Rivers account, I can.
I don't,
can
I didn't,
answer.
I just, thought, you might want to provide an update of, where you are, in the process, but,
So the house is sold. We sold that on Monday. So Nick and Jenny are now the owners of the house. And at this point in time, we've deposited that money into the Rivers land account. And with the change of the leadership of the fire department coming in January, while I certainly have some ideas on what I would like to see the department do with those funds, I'm going to respectfully hold off till the new leadership is in place and then bring some proposals forward for the organization to discuss what we do with that and the funding, the overall land, everything else. So I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying at the fire department.
I know,
I'm
it's
not
hard to
like,
believe it's 10 years ago.
I'm not like
Gone
taking
by.
off and running away. I plan to be around and some of the long-term projects that I've always had an interest in that just didn't have the time should be able to have the time now. So.
I mean, it's just hard.
So-
You've reached your
Yeah.
point there.
So as far as the Rivers land goes, from 10 years ago when I started as the chief and the conflict that was in, with the community and everything with that property, times have certainly changed. The world has changed, the economy has changed, the towns have changed, the needs have changed. And I think, going forward that there has to be some healthy debate about where we go and what we do. So.
I'll make a motion to approve the Underhill Jericho Fire Department budget request of $1,052,940, of which the Jericho portion would be $573,000, but $573,151.
I'll second that. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you for your time. Appreciate the effort that went into all these different calculations.
And while I'll certainly give the new chief the option to be at town meeting day reimagined, I kind of have a feeling I might be there.
Oh, good.
So when did we learn about the new chief?
January 14th, evening of January 14th, we will.
Is that in a public session where we can come and?
Yes, all of our meetings are public. So if you want to come to the firehouse, good.
Great. Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be a lot of extra energy for, for the town meeting to imagine, trying to make it, so that people could, react, have the community and the questioning that they usually do. And then, the rest are, just informational meetings.
So if you need me at any, if you need the department at any meeting, please reach out.
I imagine it would be
I'll be
good
glad
to
to
be
come.
at the somebody should be there for the town meeting, right?
Yeah, and if there's an information session in between now and then, let me know.
Great, thank you
Glad to
very
come.
much for your time. And thank you very much for your time as well. Appreciate you coming here. It makes it not as cold as it's going to be.
That's right. Thank you for hosting.
Catherine, if you'd allow me, I would like to do one thing, because I think it would be significant, because we are here, we don't meet that often.
Yes.
But if we could make a joint resolution to, thank Matt for his 10 years as serving as chief of the Underhill Jericho Fire Department. We don't oftentimes get together as both select boards, but I think it would be meaningful if we were willing to make a joint resolution tonight to, thank Matt for his hard work and dedication.
I think that's a very good idea. Absolutely.
So I would like to move as the chair, that we thank Matt, in this session for his years of dedication to the fire department.
And Jericho concurs.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
All in favor here?
Aye.
So you're welcome.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you. Thank you for your time and
You
effort.
wanted to do percentages.
Oh, we did it. We did it by
Yep.
voting.
Okay, that's right,
Yep.
we did. All right. Perfect.
Well,
I was hoping he was gonna come out with something different.
I'm gonna move that we adjourn.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, Dan.
All those in favor of adjournment, please signify, this portion, this special select board meeting for the town of Jericho, please signify by saying aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We will have a brief intermission while most of us travel to Underhill to conduct our next scheduled select board meeting.
Same.
You happy holidays.
Well,
Thank
thank
you.
Right,
Happy
same
holidays. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the Jericho portion of this special meeting, and we'll pick up again at the regular select board meeting at 6:30.
I'll second that. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're going to open this session of the Jericho Select Board, December 19th, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. And make an announcement that Peter had another engagement that he could not miss and will not be here until probably about 7:30 or so. But he hopes he might make it beforehand. So we start as usual with public to be heard. And if there's any people to speak on something that is not on the agenda, this is your time to do so. Oh, where's my little sheet? Yes. I have to read this. I have to start it. So in an effort to make the meeting more effective and efficient, the select board has made a change to public comment portion of the meeting. Minutes or others wishing to address the board during meeting may do so during the public portion of the meeting. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per speaker. All speakers are heard before people are given a second opportunity to speak. And what we've been doing is, this is pertains to comments that are not on the agenda. But once the public comment portion of the meeting is over, the public will be able to speak if the chair determines their input is needed during another portion of the meeting or a period after the meeting. For participation on Zoom, if you have a question, please raise your hand. Please only use the Zoom chat for technical issues such as room audio, or you can't raise your hand or things of that nature. Please don't comment or question and chat as it's distracting. The intent of this new policy is not to stifle community input, but rather to allow the select board to be more effective and efficient in our work. People are welcome to email the members of the select board at any time with feedback or questions. Our email addresses are on the town's website and on the notice on the sign-in table. And again, public to be heard if there's anything that's not, to start on the agenda. If not, we will go to discussion of the parking expansion on the Browns Trace side for horse trailers letter of support. And who gets to speak to that one?
Should I go up to the table?
Yeah, it's always nicer. You get better video, the coverage.
So,
I can
for the
also,
record, Terry Hook for the Mobs Committee.
I can also share whatever you need me to.
Yeah, maybe my single page thing, that's what I was gonna talk to, which is terse and I hope. So I'm here for the Mobs Committee. Monica Raymond is here from the Vermont Horse Council. Carrie Garvey's on Zoom from the Vermont Horse Council. And it's.
That one is not gonna open, and I'm not
You
sure.
might be able to share it.
Oh, you just.
Share.
This is the one I think is what I was looking for, which kind
Oh,
of
the map.
has like a bullet items. So while she's looking, I'll talk, I guess. This is a project that we came here like last March, I think it was, to talk about, which is to, it's none of those.
No,
Is it in our packet?
It is.
yeah.
So, basically, the Vermont Horse Council, i.e. Monica, came to us and said, gee, I really like to ride my horse at mobs, but I have nowhere to park. And couldn't we expand the parking at Brown's Trace, in particular, to be able to go forward and not back up? There might be room in the parking lot for multiple vehicles, which on this would be, the existing parking lot is right here. But
Oh,
it's
so
a,
that's the easiest one. Okay, I was
it's a
trying
go,
to figure
it's
that out.
it's a go in and back out. No way to
That's right.
turn anything around larger than a pickup truck. And so they came to us and said, can't we do something to make this more accessible, more usable? And by the way, Agency of Natural Resources has grants available for trail access. And so we started trying to put this together and had a number of designs that came sweeping through here at a big loop and so on and so forth. And we came to the select board back in March last year and said, you know, we need some engineering help. We can't just do this with a sketch pad. And you guys said, you can have Tyler for 10 hours to work on.
Oh, that's right.
How'd
How'd that work out?
It worked out great. This is Tyler's plan. Well, back and forth. So we communicated with Tyler. We went there, visited the site, and you were there and other people from the Horse Council. And the first thing he said was, you know, I think there's a wetland here. You guys better watch out for the wetland. And so we went off and actually spent money from the MOB's budget to study the wetland. We got a wetland engineer to define it. And it is defined there, and it intruded directly where the original plan went. So we had two choices, traverse the wetland and undergo the permitting and adjustments necessary for that, or avoid it.
Sorry, before you go on this map, where is the wetland?
So it's that which is map, right? So
Right
the blue thing in the middle
That
is the
green.
wetland, and then the buffer is the green
buffer.
blob.
Oh, the blue is the wetland.
Yep.
And it goes, you know, it joins across the road. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not just that little thing there.
Mhm.
So, and on the other side of the driveway, it's clearly a wetland. I mean, that
Oh,
is.
yeah, that's right.
So, in view of what we spent there and others learned it, we adjusted the plan in conjunction with Tyler, and I think got your input from you guys about, let's avoid it. You know, we just don't have, then we don't need a wetlands permit. We're not in the wetland. And so the scope is somewhat reduced, but it still makes this nice loop. And in fact, on that loop, there are a couple of places, you know, to be able to park trailers right along there. So, and Tyler reworked the plan, the plot, and so on, and provided this input, and we're pretty happy with that plan. So we don't need a wetland permit. We talked to the Vermont Land Trust, who owns the easement on this, and we have approval from them. That's like an official letter to do this.
Oh, that's good.
Then we went off to we got a couple of estimates for the work based on this plan and a couple of site visits. And between the two that we got, it was a 40,000 to 50,000 for the construction work. Great, you know, stumping, grading, gravel, what have you. Those are just, you know, estimates for the purpose of sizing it. And then to clear up what we don't have DRB approval or building permit yet. We talked to Chris Flynn briefly. He said, well, I think I need more detail. I'm not sure what the more detail needed at this point, but I don't think there's any specific intent. It doesn't violate setbacks or something like that. I don't know if you had a chance to talk to Chris about what.
I have not.
So we don't have a DRB approval. And we don't have the stormwater permit approval. Those are two holes. And the third thing we don't have at this moment is permission from the select board to do this, which is probably the most important thing and really why we're here tonight. To fill out the story based on what all the stuff we had put together. My Horse Council, and Monica, maybe you'd like to speak. It's they put together this huge application.
Grant proposal?
They put together a huge application for the grant. And a key part of the grant is we have the permission to construct this on what is, of course, the town's property, right? You can't write grants to build stuff on other people's stuff, right? So.
Is it this thing?
No.
Now, is it still gonna be behind the fence that's visible, or are you gonna go through the fence?
If I need to.
There actually is, the fence isn't there any longer. It's kind of fallen down.
I wondered about that.
Project
Yeah,
review
it really
sheet, what do you
has. So
want
no,
to show?
it's this side of the
There
fence.
should be an
It's
application there
it's
too.
short of the fence.
Okay, yeah, because the only reason I asked is on the fact that I have seen, not any
Let me,
impact over the
I
years.
can pull it up
Is
here.
it many, many, many years ago, when that first
It's probably in
parking
there,
lot
I
was
just don't know.
developed, there had to be a mediated settlement.
Yes.
And,
Go back up.
but obviously, the soul,
That right
that's the
there.
work. The
The
gate
plan
hasn't
here.
worked in forever.
Right.
That's the work plan.
So,
Perfect.
right, we are aware that there was controversy around the original lot. Tell you the truth, that the trees have grown up so much.
They really have, there's very nice looking
The
trees.
ownerships have all changed. I really don't think that'll be an issue again, but of course, we don't really know, I guess, until we get DRB approval.
But you're right, the trees are really, it was because they could see people doing things that you didn't want them to see.
Correct.
But now the trees are, I imagine the trees are much more natural buffer.
That's what we're believing right now, that in fact the screening is, but is gonna be, is adequate. Of course, until you have, a zoning permit and post it and take, whatever the time is to object, you don't really know. Something might bubble up from somewhere.
So, the Vermont Horse Council, based on sort of the initial support from the Marks Farm Committee and the Select Board, at least to pursue this, recently submitted a pre-application to the Recreational Trails Program, which is federal money, but it comes to the states and then the states administer it, and it's through Forest Parks and Recreation. And so, yeah, so this is and the process is that you submit a pre-application that was due December 6th, and then we should hear in the next couple of weeks whether we're invited to submit a full proposal. And that would be due January 31st. And part of in order to submit the full proposal, we are required to have written landowner permission. So that's why we're here today. And there is a description of the landowner permission related to the grant, but, and I don't know how much detail you want me to go into, but the grant would be, we're asking for, or the total project cost, which Carrie Garvey, who's also on the board of the Vermont Horse Council, she is on the meeting, and she's also a technical expert on this, and wrote the work plan and the budget, but the total budget is about $62,000 approximately. And in this grant, you're required to make a 20% match. And so, the money that you've already spent would count towards that. And then in-kind, work also counts towards the match.
So like the money we spent from utilizing Tyler.
Yes.
And me, I mean, so to speak, as a volunteer, but we get the bill at some way, right?
Yes, volunteers. So, and the Horse Council would be administering the grant. And so the volunteer work and some of the volunteer work that's already been done actually counts towards that. And the total you can request from the state is $50,000. So we'll be asking for a little over $49,000. And it's actually a 2-year grant. And so they actually recommend that you spend the first year. So we would spend 2025 actually getting all the permits in place, getting generally they want you to get 3 estimates from contractors, and sort of get all the groundwork laid so that, and then break ground in 2026 and finish the work then. So you can do the work in 26, but they sort of recommend that you spend 25 on all the permitting. So we're already ahead of the game with the permits. And I don't know if Carrie, do you want to say anything about the stormwater?
Just that I work as a stormwater professional, and I'm happy to work with the town to incorporate this in whatever stormwater work they may be required to do with the potential 3-acre permit. And essentially, yeah, just help figure that out next year. Because I do that all the time for my professional life. So I'm happy to do that in my role as a member of the Vermont Horse Council as well.
That was a question because of the town.
Well, I mean, when I open how to get a stormwater permit, it's very complicated.
Yes.
And it's even worse if you break the 3 acres.
Mhm.
I said, this is beyond my capability. Fortunately, it's what Kerry does for a living.
Does it
So
break the 3 acres with the parking lot?
so according to Tyler, this is about a quarter acre of additional. It requires a permit, period, because it's more than 5,000 square feet added with more than 1 acre total. But, so this is about a quarter acre we're adding, and the rest of the parcel, mainly what the town garage has, is about 2.75.
Jeez.
So maybe
Just
yes,
all of
maybe
us
no. I
thinking
mean, you know, if
right
you
on.
really, you know, if in fact there's no additional impervious planned for the town garage project, it'd be definitely worthwhile, in my opinion, to figure out is it 2.99 or 3.01. Because all Tyler has is
Well, wait a
about
minute,
2.75.
so maybe you can help me, Carrie. The 3 acre wastewater stuff that we run into is because, well, maybe this would qualify because it's older, right? But the way that it was explained to us by the gentleman who I forget came to help educate us a little bit on these 3 acre stormwater permitting and the fees that go along with them. Those are for permits before some date, like, I don't know, I'll make up a date.
2002.
Okay, 2002. So do we care or do we not care about 3 acres because it's currently later than 2002?
Is there an existing stormwater post 2002 permit for the site?
I don't know.
I didn't see one at first glance, but we haven't really dug into it yet.
Well, it would be the town garage area.
But if they're saying it's one parcel as including the town
Right.
garage. So I guess my question is, let's say this does bring us over to 3.01 acres. Does that change anything, or is that or because it's not before 2002, it doesn't matter?
Oh, so yeah,
Be a
just
new
to be
garage.
clear, if it has a post 2002 existing stormwater current permit, then you're covered. If it doesn't have a current stormwater permit, which is defined by that 2002 benchmark, then it could be subject to the 3 acre rule. I do a lot of that type of mapping, so I could definitely look at the impervious cover and
I'm assuming
determine how much.
Sorry to cut you off. I'm assuming the new town garage is gonna need a new stormwater
Which we just bought.
permit.
Right.
Okay,
That's what we start
so
figuring what Tyler.
so therefore it will be a new permit and it's after 2002, so I guess.
Yeah,
I guess
so that would,
I
yeah,
don't think we care then that it's 3 acres or not, because it's a new permit. And it's already contained within that new permitting process.
When is the new town garage going to be built?
2025?
Oh,
Yeah, we're going through design now, we're going through permitting, we've got to make a slight zoning tweak to the area that it's going to, but we're hoping to break ground.
so are you gonna need a stormwater permit for that?
We just
File
filed
one.
for it.
Oh,
yeah. Oh, okay,
So
well, that's
that was-
great.
That was
we
my
can
point, that new
build into
stormwater,
that, or,
because that new stormwater permit will comply to whatever rules went in 2002, so it'll.
Yeah.
So I don't think the 3 what I'm trying to just confirm is I don't think the 3 acres matters.
Well, it
Hopefully
might-
not, yeah. It's sounding like probably not, which is great.
So we're hoping it's not too late to incorporate this additional impervious into that permit. I mean, I don't imagine.
I don't think we can. We already filed it. It's been filed.
so Carrie, would we need a separate stormwater permit? Or can it be folded in?
Probably. It just depends on timing and everything and approval, and if it's, approved or under administrative review for a long time. But it's not, I mean, if it's just for this little bit, it's not that big of a deal. And
I don't wanna-
Somebody who does this for a living.
That's good.
I'm the paper. It's a big, but.
well,
Yeah,
it's very straightforward in terms of stormwater permitting. and what we would have to do for this site, given how, not developed it is around, it wouldn't be, that, hard to do those practices to comply with the stormwater permit.
I just want to make sure and be clear, at least my personal stance is none of this can delay anything to do with the town garage. Even if it's permitting, even if it's a day, we're really, really tight. So as long as we're clear on that, from where I stand, I can't speak myself for the whole board, but.
Carrie, do you see any conflict?
No, I mean, especially if they've already filed their stormwater permit, then that's its own project. This is a separate project. It just happens to be on the same parcel.
There's one further thing. So you made the numbers. There's no request to the town for any more money.
Right.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I know. Yep.
No, he's just worried about getting this building built.
Right. No,
Yeah, we
but I
don't
mean, in
wanna
terms of
interfere
making
with
the
that.
grant, it's, the town has expended all the money we're gonna ask for, which is Tyler's time and the wetland study. And
Which we really appreciate.
I think all that we're asking for is permission. I said, support. It's not that, it's permission.
Yeah, we
Because
need-
you can't ask for a grant to build something on stuff you don't
Someone
know.
else's land without,
So you don't need a letter of support.
Yeah,
you just
there was a
need-
draft
We need a
letter
letter
that-
before saying.
I said support, but I would change the word to permission, I guess, because it's,
Oh, that's right, 'cause it
support
needs to be
sounds like you're, well,
Yeah,
I'll let Carrie,
Yeah, Carrie, do you know how it should be worded? I'm assuming it's, that we grant permission to the Vermont Horse Council to carry out this project as per the work plan. Carrie, do you know, is there a format?
The letter that
that I put
Paula
together.
shared with us, will this suffice?
Oh,
Where is it?
Zoom in a little bit?
The
That's
only,
the one Terry.
right,
Yep.
so I said, so,
yeah, this is not, I think it needs to specifically say
has permission to,
the Horse Council has permission to carry out this project as described in the work plan. And be more specific about,
numbers.
specific about. And I can find out, I can get maybe a sample.
If you
From
could just
SCR.
email me and that'd be great.
Okay,
Yeah, because we could
sounds good.
approve,
Okay, so for,
we could approve the, sending a letter of permission, provided they provide the letter to the.
okay, that's what I was gonna ask.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion to, is it one motion or two? I think I'm gonna make two motions. First, I'm gonna make a motion to give general permission to the mobs committee to apply for,
no, the Vermont Horse Council is applying for the grant.
Okay.
And we will be. able to-
I'll make a motion for the Jericho Select Board to grant permission to the what is it?
Vermont Horse Council.
Vermont Horse Council to apply for a grant for modifying the driveway at Mob's Farm. And I'll do one.
I'll second that. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. I'll make a motion to approve a letter of permission that we just stated, provided that we get the correct language through Paula.
I'll second that. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. When do you need that signed?
We would need it by January 31st, and this is all assuming that we get invited to submit a full proposal.
Right, gotcha.
So
Like you kind of expected,
I-
You have experience.
I don't know. But,
If we have the documentation to sign at our January 2nd meeting, that should be fine, right?
Okay, yes.
yes, I can, that's not,
So you can get the.
I will,
Work out the
yeah,
language and we
Yep.
can sign that.
It looked a bit like what we had, but.
something like that, but a little more
Yeah, and-
specific
and-
about,
Clearly, you've got on the record that it has, the permission has been granted. It's just a matter of getting the paperwork.
yes. And we just, when we submit our full proposal, we just have to include that letter on town stationery and all that letter.
Oh, fancy. I don't know if we have that.
So, Carrie, do you have any comments?
Yep, that's correct. I can write the letter, not a problem, and provide that.
Oh, there you go.
Perfect.
You're still sharing, yeah.
That'd be great, Carrie.
Yes.
You can, you were on the email thread, you can send it to Paula.
You still see the.
Will do.
Great. All right, there we go.
Great.
Thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Well, we know a lot of people ride their horses.
Yeah.
Right.
Next is discussion of the MOPS committee budget for 2020, FY 26.
Hello, Christine Smith, MOPS committee member, and I'm filling in for Kate Davis tonight. I had a work obligation. Does anybody want a paper version of this, or you all?
I think they have.
We have this,
Okay. All right.
or at least I have in a paper.
Okay, and Eric, you're all set?
I've got it.
I've got a spare one if you want. So following Paula's communication that committee should submit their FY 26 budget requests to the select board by December 20th, the MOPS committee tonight is requesting an increase to our annual budget from $13,200 annual, which has been our budget since fiscal year 20, to $15,000 starting fiscal year 26.
It says 14 on here.
That's Pete's pro forma budget, so he prepared that as kind of, this is
Okay.
in an example year, this is what we would expect for
Okay.
different categories of expenses, including trail mowing and maintenance, brush hogging, infrastructure repairs, equipment maintenance and orchard maintenance. I added the two lines at the bottom just to illustrate, just in the past year, what kinds of more extraordinary expenses we've had. As you know, MOPS Farm has a fair amount of infrastructure, and that ages and needs attention and occasional replacement. And in the past year, we needed to do a full bridge replacement. The bridge had become dilapidated and to the point of becoming a safety issue. So we did a full bridge replacement, and it's looking good now. We also consulted with Carrie Garvey and then engaged Lackey Landworks to improve the trail tread on a portion of the Apple Tree Trail. And that amount there that you see, the $3,300, we were fortunate in that we got $2,000 in donations to help cover that, so that we were able to help manage our budget that way to get that work completed. And that work, which basically was a better drainage and then a hardened tread that's suitable for all trail users, is running parallel to the first boardwalk you come across on the Apple Tree Boardwalk. And we're using it as a test case for other stretches of the Apple Tree Trail that are in need of remediation, specifically those that have the boardwalks on them now that are just breaking down. And so if this works out well, we'll consider pulling up those planks and using the framework to lay some hardened tread that will be good for everybody, including the horses, because they happen to use that trail as their main pathway to get over to the research, cross the Gill Brook and go over to the research forest. And so that we had that project going on too. With the bridge project, we ran into a common budget management challenge for our committee. And that is that the months for completing trail infrastructure work at MOPS are basically mid-May through mid-October. And Jericho's fiscal year end falls right in the middle of that. So that makes it tough to, a lot of times, to engage contractors and get work that is straddling a fiscal year end. We tried to work with that this past year we contracted with Rapid Works to do the bridge replacement that we completed. We signed the contract before fiscal year end 24. And what we had hoped to do, since we had saved a bit of money from fiscal year 24, was to use that as a down payment for materials for the work and then fund the rest of it from the current year. But unfortunately, from an accounting standpoint, the town said, we're not quite good with that. So we ended up funding all of it through fiscal year 25. So given that we do kind of operate on a tight budget, it did make it a little difficult because we have fiscal year 24 funds that we just didn't use. And now we're going to be tight for fiscal year 25. Again, with the expenses that we outlined, we're going to have to be very careful with our spending through winter and spring. But we will continue to do as much work ourselves as we can. I think you know that MOPS committee is a very hands-on committee. We replaced a 70-foot long boardwalk ourselves last year. Terry volunteers his tractor a lot of times to get materials transported, to do brush hogging. Pete invests a lot of time in the orchard, and we do storm cleanup ourselves. We group the winter trails ourselves. So we do as much as we can, and we're happy to do it. But there are certain projects that are just that are just simply not DIY, and things like bridge replacements are one of them. And our remaining bridges are 12+ years old. So they're in decent shape now, but we're keeping a close eye on them because bridges do have a limited lifespan, and you do need to either replace planking or do a complete replacement. And the boardwalks on the Apple Tree Trail, I don't know if you've been out there at all lately, but they're hemlock, and they're about done. We've been trying to use what wood we have available, and we've been replacing planks, but it seems like every time we replace planks, more of them start falling through. So we have signs posted saying that we're working on repairs, but these are the kinds of things that crop up for us. And with rising costs for labor and materials, as everyone has seen, we would appreciate an increase in our budget. And we'd also welcome the opportunity to discuss with you how we can best straddle that fiscal year end when we need to get projects done in the summer months.
Not to throw more coals on the fire, but did you listen to, or has Don Toby and talked to you about the ash tree issues and MOPS?
No.
Yeah, because we've had an ash borer survey completed, and the interns went through all the trails, including MOPS trails as well as Mills Riverside trails, and they found at least 141 trees that might be impacting.
Oh, when was this done?
It was just
Over
finished.
the last year, he was at, if you might want to watch that.
Where can I find that? Is it on
So
MC?
I think it was the last select board meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, in fact is.
350 trees at Mills Riverside Park, 141 at Mob. And
Yep.
he
Yep.
is concerned about them coming down on somebody.
And could be a thing, and then
Well, I know Green Mountain Power came through year before last, and
yeah, they've taken down some.
right, took down anything that was threatening a power line, and a number of those were
Right.
alongside our trails too.
That's handy.
But yeah,
These are the ones that he counted that are like. You can watch the video, but they're he followed the trails, and like basically these are 141 that are
And there is
threatening to fall across the trail.
a report that the town should have that you could read.
And it is on the website as well.
Yeah,
okay, I'll take a look.
Yeah, I think it's on the website.
EAB,
Yeah, it's on the
search for
website. Yep.
EAB when you go to the
Yep.
website.
Because it's done by Ethan Tapper, which is.
The good thing is you could cut those down, chop them up into lumber and use them for your bridges. And so probably what we're gonna do is we're just gonna get you a chainsaw and a little wood mill. No budget, but you get so much lumber and.
Ashes are pretty good, if it's,
Good hard.
unless it becomes old and brittle,
Yeah.
which is what's the problem with the borer,
Mhm.
and that becomes a danger, because they become brittle, but if you get them before they're brittle, then of course they're pretty good wood.
Certainly after every windstorm, we do a lot of chainsaw work. Unfortunately, most of that's done. But we've never hired anybody doing it.
No, either we do it or Fellowship at the Wheel that you see there. They got some real expert crew there that help us too, but
Things falling in your head, so.
yeah.
So there's some that we shouldn't be touching, we don't.
We don't, but the ones that we do, where we get out there and clear things ourselves, but that information, I'll be interested in taking a look at.
Yeah, because it would be important, I mean, if Don might be able to then identify, well, or at least, specifically identify which trees, are the issues. Yeah, I didn't want to be, bringing more costs to the,
No, but it's something we need to be aware of.
but it is, it's something, quite important. Because it's a real public safety issue. So basically then you stated your case and we, go ahead then and keep plugging into the budget what numbers are and then as we go to, the town meeting reimagined, people make comments. I mean, it's
Okay.
that's what happens,
Mhm.
just like a regular town meeting and then the final budget will be determined depending on how 2.0 goes, and that'll be the Australian ballot in March then. So we
Understood.
appreciate your
Yeah, there's nothing
discussion.
for us to approve. We're not going to be able to say tonight, yes, you're good, or no, you're not. We're just going to say,
It'll be in the
we
budget.
have, I don't know how many hundred lines in our budget that
Right.
we're looking at.
No, we understood from Paula that there was a deadline basically to
Yes,
make
it
any
is.
appropriate requests.
Yeah, no, thank you
and
for
we-
doing that.
Yeah.
We appreciate that.
Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Thank you.
I don't see the map. I quickly went to the website. I don't see the map that we're.
For the ash tree.
Yeah.
We might have this.
Oh, maybe.
Flag them,
They are
Yeah.
flagged,
They are?
on a,
On
they did
all,
like this app and they flagged all of the trees. They hired a couple of interns to go through. It was like a small grant that they could get, but they hired 2 interns to go through any trees in the right of way. And they did all of that in Jericho. And then they went through and had a little bit more time. So they went to Mills Riverside Park and Mobs, kind of marked out trees there as well.
So I'm sorry, are they physically marked or are they?
No, I
Okay.
think they're marked on like
Not-
they had an app or it was, but Dawn had a map on what he
Okay.
displayed on the select
So
board
we can
meeting.
see on this
So,
map?
yeah,
Okay.
And I've got a note here that if you don't find it, reach out to me and
Okay,
I'll
will
get
do.
that information to you.
Will do. Appreciate that.
yeah, 'cause John might be able to, pinpoint it from his app.
Mm.
I think,
Anyway, I can't find it now. I apologize for that.
Okay,
But
no, well, I'm
but
sure we'll be able
you'll see like the trails
Mhm.
and you'll see like all the little dots for all the trees of the trees that are
Okay.
All right, well,
at-risk trees once
we'll
they.
find the map.
Okay, we will.
Yeah.
we'll look into
Yeah,
that.
yeah, so
Thanks.
that way you're aware of and can monitor the trees before they become really
Yes.
a problem.
Yes, we'll do that. So, again, thanks for
Just
listening.
the ash
and-
trees that,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen a couple.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Thank
listening.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for, following through and, for presenting your budget so that we understand it. All right, is Beth up there?
Beth is not, but Maria is, because she is on another meeting, but she was gonna try to zoom in.
Probably town meeting reimagined.
It could, that's right, it's tonight, isn't it?
It
So
is
that's
tonight.
probably where she's at, so,
Yeah.
yes. So,
So
but
Maria's-
Maria is here, we could still go through it if Maria wanted to speak on her behalf too.
Sure, because Beth is doing a lot, she's taking
Yeah.
minutes and everything for the
Yeah,
TRI. so.
yep,
that said, we have always made new members
speak.
speak.
I believe Beth is gonna try to come between 7:15 and 7:30. Do you wanna take the next agenda item and then come back?
That we
Yep,
We can do that. Thank you, Maria.
That we could do.
Yep. I know she's in a meeting, I think with the Democratic Party, and so she's just gonna try to
Okay.
zoom
I know
in
that's
around
okay.
that time.
PMRI meeting one of these days too, so we'll go to the review and consider approval of the resolution of ARPA. And the money has already been allocated, but this is to meet the federal guidelines for saying that everything has been allocated before end of December 2024, so that they don't try to take money that we spent back. And so we just need to approve the second ARPA resolution, because that way all the funds are actually allocated or committed by December 31st.
Sorry, I'm trying to find it. What do I need to,
You just need to approve the whereases.
do I have to read them all?
No.
Good one, Kat.
Well,
Just to
no,
approve
just
a
saying
resolution.
resolution for the American Rescue Plan allocation. Because it's got, March 11th, 2021, the ARPA and the COVID-19.
Okay, whereas, okay.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution for the American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA allocation.
I'll second that. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That way, all the money is officially obligated, according to the budget. The next thing is review and consider approval of the year-end transfers.
So this is from Brian, wanted to make sure that this, got filled out. And, you'll see, he's explained pretty much what the first transfer, 50,000, was approved in 23-24, which I don't know what that 50,000 was. Do you, Catherine?
Road impact fees.
Okay.
And what's interesting, I mean, it's too bad they had already left, that the MOPS committee gets their $4,000 put aside for that.
Well, yeah,
That's for the
and
transfer.
I thought Pete had mentioned that to them, but I was talking with, we had been dealing with Pete Davis on it, and he's been back and forth with Brian, so. And I had let Pete know that it had already been done for them, so.
She
I
doesn't
wasn't
have to feel quite
sure.
so
Yeah,
intense.
right,
Because it's
right.
really, because the money is for FY25.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Now, these you could read if you wish, I'll go through it and then,
You want to do a motion for each one? So the first 50,000 transfer was for what?
Road impact fees.
Okay. Can you just tell me one more time what we're doing?
or
This
you
is
can
when
do this.
This is when we're,
See, that's what we have to do.
right,
We have to approve those things.
Yes, it's transfers.
transfers from what though? From what to what?
It's after the audit, they have to, once the audit is complete, they end up coming and they'll transfer 50,000 from our general budget into the reserves. Like the 4,000, we're actually transferring that. It'll go into a reserve and then it'll come out when they need to pay for it.
Okay. So what did you say about the audit? So these are something that the auditors need to see.
The auditors will go through with Brian, and once their audit is complete, usually Brian, I think, from my memory, the end of the year transfers usually happen at the end of the fiscal year, but since with the audit moved out and this new auditor, this is where
So
we're
then,
at.
So you can just say be resolved and then you just read all of them, I guess. We can do that.
all right, I will make a motion to do the following for transfers, transfer of funds. Effective for fiscal year ended June 30th, 2024. Number one, the transfer of road impact fees from the road impact fee account to the general fund account in the amount of $50,000. Number two, the transfer of funds from the restoration funds to the general fund in the amount of $6,370. Number three, the transfer of funds from the general fund to the buildings and property fund account in the amount of $4,000. Number four, the transfer of funds from the general fund to the buildings and property fund account in the amount of $100,000 as previously authorized by the select board related to the future improvements to the town library building. Number five, the transfer of funds from the general fund to the reappraisal fund in accordance with the approved budget for fiscal year 23-24 in the amount of $35,000.
I'll second that. Motion.
No, you have to say all those in favor.
All those in favor?
Oh
Aye.
my goodness.
You're both just staring at each other.
She was like,
Wait a minute,
wait, what?
I didn't say second. Yeah.
Goodness.
Oh, yeah. That's good. You know, I think this is what everybody's waiting for.
Well, so just to let you know, there's a question out there for the road policy that hasn't been answered by Claudine as of yet, so I don't know.
I
the
think it's,
discussion about that.
I think there's language we could, you know, talk about. And rather than keep, I mean, it has to go back, but basically, based on our I did find the question, based on having to go to a different computer so that I could open Word and then see the question. That's the question that, because it's the, question having to do, how, is plowing, sanding, what about replacement of culverts and stuff like that? Is that the question?
No,
That's the one that came up on, when I opened it up, according to how to open it up from Word.
that one is fine. The one that is in question is the last paragraph again.
But I said
He's got it.
okay. Huh, because that's what Claudine finally came up with and said, this is good. So there's a new question.
Yeah, Peter has one more question.
Mhm. Oh, Peter has another question.
Let me just read it so I understand it first. Then
Oh, yeah, go ahead. Well, that's too bad because I thought Claudine had it over and over again. This is exactly what we wanted.
Right.
We talked
No,
about it enough.
yeah, she was, and then he had asked this question, so I had sent it back to her and asked.
Because, you know, I know he asked earlier about, you know, what happened to the, you know, is it by mile or whatever?
Right.
And I said, you know, it didn't make any difference. And, I mean, this is the thing that people really want. So I don't know if that's, because it's only gonna be a large enough group anyway, that's gonna be able to do it. You can't, if it's only like 1 per mile, those people cannot qualify. And it's really strictly neighborhoods that are gonna be able to afford it. Oh, good, so it's all good. Yeah, that's the thing that came up with questions, you know, comments, you know, that came up on the Word document.
Yeah. Yep.
So I thought, you know, I had a, you know, you should add.
I guess I kind of see what he's saying.
So it's that last paragraph,
Because
right?
it's separated by an or.
Or subject? Or structures?
He's right. I mean, so the way that it reads, the town will not accept a road that provides access to a neighborhood where the deeds for the property accessed by that roadway are either subject to a homeowners association agreement or subject to covenants that are inconsistent with or make impermissible uses or structures that. I don't know if it's the or that's getting him, because somebody could read it and say, anyone with a homeowners association, we're not gonna do. But what she's trying to say is anyone with a homeowners association or a covenant, that is inconsistent, I guess. And so then he provides his.
I see what you mean.
Like language
so
that he would
you can
prefer
read
in
his
there.
email that he sent to Paula. He'll be here shortly.
Yeah, we can certainly, you
Talk
know,
about it then, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
why don't we, so Beth is in, so we.
Oh, good.
Can we?
I'll read his,
yes.
then I'll read his notes after that, so that's.
Can I ask you a question about that?
Yes.
I mean, Peter's coming in, but is it possible to get a copy of the road policy? Or is it something I'd have to wait until?
It's not public yet because we haven't approved it, but we could, I think
But
we
it's
could
a
send
public
you, we could.
document.
It's a public document.
Yeah, we
goes
can
into
send you the proposed one.
Yeah, it would be, I've kind of been following, because I
Yeah.
live on Black Walnut, so.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, you can get a copy, because once it's in the packet, it's a public document.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
What is your
you can get the draft.
S. Bushway.
BUSH?
HWAY,
Okay.
046 email.
Okay.
Thank you.
You send me one as well.
Uh-huh. I think I have your email.
Do you have Jim's?
I don't think so. Yeah.
We're trying to just get it right, because once we have one, we're gonna have a line of people, and we would just wanna make sure it's as clear as we can get it,
Yeah.
and so I know it's been week
I know,
after week.
living around, there's a lot of other neighborhoods that would be
Yeah.
interested in applying, so
Yeah,
thank you for your hard work.
Thank you.
okay, you wanna have Beth go?
Yes.
Yes, let's go back to Beth. Okay.
Beth, are you there?
She wants to know in the chat. I can tell her.
Oh, okay.
There's Beth.
Already, Beth.
Beth is ready. Brian said,
You there in a bit, he said.
okay. So in the meantime, I'm gonna read what he was saying.
I'm gonna get the water. I guess technically we
Yeah,
won't have a
technically.
quorum, but I'll be back so fast.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. We have to have it right because people are gonna look for any loopholes that possibly can.
Right, I would
And we need
rather
to have it
take-
clear for people.
Yeah, I would rather be clear and have all of our questions
Yeah.
answered before we go ahead and approve it. It makes sense. If Peter's got a question,
Yeah.
it's best to table this and not accept it until those questions are answered.
Yeah, I mean, I thought, well, maybe, because of the comments with the question marks after the.
Yeah, and I
part.
think,
And I thought, well, as Tyler said, it's both, it's our travel way plus the road. We're only doing the road and the right of way. And I didn't know whether we should put right of way
right.
in that section.
Yep. Hi, Beth.
Hi, I'm sorry. I'm in another meeting tonight and I'm
No
trying.
worries.
No
No worries at all.
Difficult.
All right, so go ahead.
Typically, not nice to see you, or at least hear you again. There you are, up in that corner where the light is so bright I can't see. But anyway, I always start with the question about, tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're interested in the DEI committee.
Okay. Oops.
Oh, gosh.
So my name is Esmond. I live in Aldinger Drive. I've actually been involved with one of the events that the DEI committee did last year. Can you hear me?
Now
Hello?
it's clear. We had a reverberation for a while there.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, so I'm Beth Esmond. I live on Aldinger Drive. I served on a DEI committee for the corporation I used to work for, and I enjoyed it. I also worked with Maria on the event that the DEI committee sponsored last year at MMUF. And I really enjoyed doing that. I just very much think that it's important that Jericho has a committee that dedicates itself to this because I don't think we're particularly diverse. And I'd like to make sure that we maintain the diversity we have and attracts more.
So I always ask a very similar question, but my question is always something like, what do you think the biggest thing that we can do as a town in Jericho to help that challenge that you just spoke of where we're not particularly diverse? What can we do to encourage that?
Well, I think a lot of times what people say about that is when you invite somebody to a party and they don't like necessarily feel comfortable, they're not going to come back, right? So I think when people move to our neighborhood, we should make sure that we're accepting and that the services are available for them, that they feel comfortable in our various organizations, whatever you want to call it, in our schools, et cetera, so that they'll feel welcomed.
I think it's great.
Yeah, I can't think of another question.
I mean,
I think we definitely need people in the DEI committee, and I appreciate your service, and, so I don't, that's my only question.
I think I had 2 dry throats. Something
I got
when
you
you
a
dry
lot.
throats. Except I'm sitting here with fluids and the cough drop and everything else. Well, I think that we could recommend Beth to the DEI committee because they certainly could use help. Sure.
Okay, with that, I'll make a motion to approve Beth Esmond to the DEI committee. Shoot, is there a term?
Expiring 2026.
The term expiring in 2026.
I'll second that. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Beth,
Thank you,
for
Beth, for
doing
stepping
that.
up to the plate again because you're busy with a lot of projects right now, it seems like.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Good seeing y'all.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, the road policy. You know, we really, he is going to be here.
Yeah, look and see what time. I was thinking this. Oh,
He's not,
I bet this is him.
if we could start with the updates if he's not here yet.
I think that's, I just saw someone pull in, not that I know for sure it was him, but.
Okay, well, I'll wait a few minutes, well, a minute then. Yeah.
He got through.
What do you can use for Spain?
Cheap.
Well, we can do a little bit of analysis.
Go some get water. Do you need any?
No, I think I still have some thinking, but boy, I mean, this is really the dry, winter dryness.
It's awful.
Yeah, I'm gonna get sprayed for sure, yeah. You didn't bring a truck, right?
You know, not bring a truck. No, I got my Jeep. Trucks are full of stuff.
Paul is dry too, she's gonna get in the water as well.
I was dry, yeah, so, okay, so it's all of us. Well, you'll be happy to know, off the record, well, not really for the record or not, but, my heat pump has been working pretty well.
Oh, that's great.
And, I just today got my electricity bill for like, you know, the last actual cold part where it's really been working a lot, and I didn't go up too much. And
That's
my
great.
propane use went way down, so.
That's the balance you're starting to look for.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So it's, I mean, I just
What
got
kind
it.
did you get?
I think Mitsubishi or Fujitsu. I keep forgetting. But my parents have one. And
Those are the 2 big names.
yeah, I can't remember which one I got, but
How many heads?
2. It's one for the kitchen and then one directly above it. 1 compressor, 2 heads. And that, if this works out and I save up some money, I'll get one for the other side of the house too and get a couple over there, but.
Did you get money from efficiency Vermont?
But you do get a tax credit.
I think you want to check with efficiency Vermont.
Yeah, because they have new, you know, the rebates and stuff like that.
Yeah, what they offer keeps changing. But anyway, I'm pretty happy with it.
That's good. That's
My
great.
parents have had one for a while.
Our house is,
Now, do they have an automatic, when the temperature drops below a certain level, it kicks to the non-electric heat, or does it stay with the electric heat?
It stays electric.
So you have to switch it yourself. Do you know when, at what temperature? Break point is?
I looked it up before I bought it and I don't remember what that is, but it's gonna depend on what you're paying for fuel, right? So I think for propane, for me, I forget what the number was, but
It's actually temperature.
well, right, but the temperature for, say, natural gas might be here, but the temperature point for propane, you can go a lot lower, and it's still cheaper to run that than it is for.
Yeah, oil, propane, natural gas, but the thing is, as soon as there's resistance electric heat in the compressor outside. So when the temperature hits a certain point, to keep the compressor from freezing.
Oh, yeah.
It starts heating the compressor. And that's when the dial really starts to spin. I was just curious because the low temperature heat pumps.
I think it's around -13 or something like that. So maybe that wasn't.
No, it's the price is between 20 and 30. In other words, it may be able to bump around for a certain period of time, but when you go below 20, because you're literally heating something that's outside.
Right.
Well, some of the newer ones actually can go well below zero though. But I mean, it just says it's efficiency.
It's not a question of the capability, Kevin, but they're doing it by heating an object that's outside.
Right.
And that's when it goes, that's why the heat manager thing and the brand is a little bit different. And because I've always fantasized
We
having
waited on the road.
a cover that goes over the compressor that draws its air geothermally. So that
you're pulling in a little bit more
55-degree air instead of 10-degree or 0 or whatever.
So Peter, we were doing the road policy. Yep. And we thought we saw you pull in, so we decided to wait for your question. Okay. And I read your email to Paula there, and the way
Then he handed it to me because I hadn't seen him.
Okay, so the way I read it is, I think, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, I'm just trying to make sure I understand what you're saying. I think you're concerned about because of the way that "or" in that last sentence sits. It kind of looks like you're saying, if you have an HOA, we don't want you, or you have a covenant that restricts we don't want you either. Yeah. That's my concern. And it doesn't expose the town because actually it's more restrictive than we intend. It's saying, true, if someone reads it that way, they're gonna say, oh, I have an HOA, they won't take my road at all. But I just thought in the name of clarity that. Yeah, in a way that. I do see what you mean, but I don't know if it's is it worth holding another? Claudia, you didn't get back to you.
She did not get back to me as of yet.
I mean,
I don't want to hold it 2 weeks for that. Given that Claudia wrote it, so I feel like when she wrote it, assuming she was thinking and paying attention, she would have.
yeah, because the idea is that the homeowners association agreement would be, homeowners association that is subject to covenants that are inconsistent with. Not even the or.
No, it's true. No, homeowners associations
Or covenant.
The long version would be, we will not accept a road that has an HOA that restricts We also won't accept a road that has a covenant that restricts.
See, I think that's even better.
Right, then that's. You could, a comma would have helped, right? Yep, I have the same.
I think that's even better because it's very clear then, because you wouldn't.
So you're saying.
What if we do this? What if we propose, I think to Peter's point, what's written here protects us because it's more restrictive than what we intend. Can we make a motion to approve either this or run the language that Peter proposed by Claudine? If she's okay with that language, replace that last sentence. If not, just do this. That way. I would say not even okay. If she thinks like, oh yeah, that's better. If she's like, whatever, either way, then we don't need to change it. She's like, no, they're both saying the exact same thing.
Sure. Sure.
The reason we had this problem at the Board of Civil Authority with the tax appeal, the guy,
Oh, that's
the guy who pressed the wrong button. Because it said,
Yeah, I do remember
there's
that.
it was literally a comma that made it sound like only the lister's mistake could be the reason. No other mistake, because they literally was missing a comma. We had to go back like the 1973 version and
That's a
look up
good
the
point.
original.
I remember that now, yeah.
Okay.
Well, then it'd be even more, because there was the comment about plowing, sanding, what about replacement of color, paving, blah, blah, blah. At the red, the filler red that Tyler did, or combination between Tyler and Juanine. When I talked to Tyler, he also said, it's very clear that the town would only be dealing with, particularly when you're talking stormwater or any of these projects or culverts or anything, when it's within the roadway or and the right of way. It includes our right of way. Anything beyond the right of way, we don't deal with.
Is that written in here?
It doesn't.
Well, that's just, but that doesn't need to, because if it's not in
doesn't
the right
say
of way,
right,
not in the right of way, that's not a new rule, that's just.
But it doesn't say it's in the right of way. It doesn't, he doesn't mention the right of way. It just says the roadway is taken over by the town will be responsible for the maintenance of roadway, ditching and culverts. So I don't know what you want to know, whether we should expand it to.
Ditching and like,
On
we're
the-
calling for only maintenance to roadway, ditching and culverts within the right of way, you mean?
Yeah, that,
Sure, I mean,
that way it's very clear that, because there are culverts that may be within, the development that deal with their own stormwater, like there's a stormwater pond or something. We don't deal with that stormwater pond or any of that. Because we're only gonna deal with our standard protocol. How do we take care of roads? And then includes, anything like 3 acre stuff, we're responsible for within, the road and the right of way.
my only concern about making any changes is that I'm not a lawyer. And a lawyer looked at this and said, yep, you're good. That's my only concern. I mean,
Well, that's why I was concerned because the comment had question marks after all those different things.
right, yeah.
We can amend it and accept it if you wanted to. You can amend it to say within the right of way on
We
that
also
third
can-
paragraph.
We also, I mean, we can write whatever we want. We have legal counsel that we can
Yeah,
get counsel from and
Right.
we can put in.
No, yeah, I understand that, yeah.
Yeah. And I do appreciate her.
Well, okay, because you could approve this then with these comments that we've had, to clarify, like you just said about Peter's thing, and then make sure it's a little more clear about, and we only deal with the standard general maintenance for the roadway, and
like it should be
right away.
amended to after roadway ditching and culverts within the right of way.
Yeah.
You can amend it to that and then.
And within the right of way, she's not gonna get worried about.
No. And then just, if you want, like that last paragraph that Peter's thinking, like you said, either you can approve it as is, and
Right.
then if Claudine says, yes, she likes Peter's version better,
We're fine.
Well, can we then amend it? Like,
You can-
Sure, we can
what's
amend
the legal process? We will have passed the version that Claudine wrote. And then we have to then like warn, take
Well,
every meeting.
I would
that's
just
one
pass it
reason
as-
why
I
we're
would just
doing
amend it and
policy,
pass it.
not an ordinance.
amend it and pass it, yeah.
I would just amend it. I would just
Yeah.
amend it,
Oh,
amend it and pass it and.
and then if Claudine.
Claudine says, oh my God, Peter's thing
Then we
had a
have-
huge loop.
Then we have to deal with
And
it.
then we're like, all right, well.
Okay.
Amend it again.
I would
This
actually,
whole
I
policy
like
is
the other
based-
way though. I like taking hers with, and then approving that with the. change.
Approving it like this.
Yeah.
With the only amendment of changing within the right of way. Approving it as is with the amendment of putting in within
And
the right of
letting
way.
her make the
And then
decision
let her make that decision.
and then we can amend it with Peter's if it's, if,
What I'm in favor of is never having road policy on the agenda. It's been on the agenda every meeting for the last 15 meetings. So I'm trying to wrap it up, or.
yeah.
we
Okay.
just walk
We
away.
don't do it.
If it's this
Just don't do
challenging,
it.
we just don't do it.
Right.
Is kind of where I'm at with it. And
Yeah,
I mean, there's.
You have to think about, like,
We
if-
do need to acknowledge a little bit of angst that we're getting from, not angst, but concern.
Right.
from both Tyler, who the town engineer, Tyler Billingsley, who I have a lot of respect for his, because he works in a lot of towns, understands a lot of this stuff. And from Claudine. I mean, those are pretty.
And then you have to
because
think
he
about, like,
specifically
the town.
mentioned right away.
Yeah, you have to think about, if you have another road, are you gonna have to add another truck? Are you gonna have to hire another highway guy?
Right.
And, you know, the building now is, the new building is to capacity because of the tanks of where they are. So if you add more roads, that building.
I think the
is-
building has room for more than the trucks we have, though, right?
It was supposed to be
I
for
think,
growth.
it was supposed to be,
For some growth.
yeah, forget how many bays
Right.
there are. I guess I don't know how many trucks we have, but
Yeah, I don't, well, depending on, you
do
can
have-
still do cold storage, you know, with the other
Yeah.
machines, so.
And that's the whole point of keeping the other
Exactly.
building is cold storage.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's something to, you know, it's more
Okay,
than
I
just.
would say, I would make a motion to pass the road policy as presented by Paula, with the amendment of the phrase, within the right of way at the end of the third to last paragraph. And
All right.
just ignoring my concerns, and if Claudia says, oh my God, he's right, that's important, then we'll deal with it. But I think she's gonna say, it's fine, go away. Okay. And again, it's less exposure, I mean, it's more restrictive if misinterpreted.
okay. I will second that.
Oh, is there anybody, oh, there's a hand up, isn't there? Or is that just?
And it's all volunteers.
Oh, okay. All right.
It's yellow if it's somebody's hand.
Oh, okay, I didn't, that's right, it is yellow.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure there was any, now, you know, because Bernie was on there for a while. And he wanted the.
Bernie Sanders?
No, wouldn't that be nice? With $1 million for us.
No, it's just us. It's just us and Donna and MMC TV. Hopefully lots of people are watching. TV.
Yep. Okay.
All right,
Is that what
did
you're
you
going with?
second it?
I second it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Paula and Claudine and Tyler and.
Yeah, thank you to everybody and to the patient.
The black walnut
people,
vote.
black-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very patient with us.
For sure.
For sure. But it covers all the areas that people wanted to learn
By
about.
you all, and then.
Oh, that's right.
The road policy.
Oh, that's right, there were different updates, what are they doing? Anyway, it's time for, let's see, I think we've done everything, because we're out of order for a lot. Hold on, find the names here.
Peter approves of it because he didn't get a vote.
Of what?
The things you're about to sign.
Yeah.
This is just a
These are the.
housekeeping, transfer money around.
Yeah,
pay for
transfer money
things.
around, and the other one is simply to clean up the requirement,
ARPA,
the last of the ARPA,
Yeah. No,
So-
what is it?
so that it's all recognized. That we have spent it or put it somewhere that is going to be spent in salaries or whatever, whatever. Put it, you know, it's being used for the operations of the town, basically. And then we'll do updates. I hated a bunch of stuff earlier.
How was the fire department going?
It was very nice, very quick,
Is it unremarkable?
unremarkable.
We did a joint Underhill Jericho resolution to thank Matt for his 10 years of service on the UJ.
Yeah.
That was Bob Stone's idea. It was a good idea.
Yeah, and you know, it's very, good at recognizing the, all the changes to ethics. I mean, there was the, you know, because Bob had to recuse himself because he's a member of the fire department.
Where did Paula go? She
She's,
went to make that, I think what she's gonna do is make the modifications right now
yeah,
and have us sign it.
yeah. Well, that's right, because we have to sign it. And, well, we could actually work on the minutes and then come back with select board updates.
Well, she likes to.
Oh, that's right.
For the meeting, for the
Yeah.
minutes too.
Yeah, that's true. She has to take the bed. I think it's on the roof. Okay, it's looking at it. Yeah, it was unremarkable. Very little questioning, you know, the bigger deal is, we did not put public to be heard on our agenda. But Chuck was here to make comment.
In the fire department part?
Yeah.
But Underhill did on theirs.
Underhill,
Weird.
so-
We had to, we're like, no, no public comment, and I didn't look at their agenda,
Right, yeah.
and so.
We let, you know,
What are you gonna say?
oh, he was talking about.
Water and Jericho Center.
Water Jericho Center. And, you know, you can't build anything there, you know, because it's not. So you gotta do something, we gotta start putting money away for that too. And basically, that's where it was. Right.
The budget thing on the agenda.
It was Mom's.
Oh, gotcha.
And we talked about, you know, she had a nice presentation.
Second page. Fast, gotta change, print it.
Done. I don't want to see this. Oh, we're good.
I found 6 copies of that, paper copies.
Oh.
I went through a bunch of stuff, tried to get my stuff figured out,
Oh.
organized about 6 copies of the road policy,
No.
just for myself. Right, Jason?
Yes, please.
We will get the data. All right, we got select board update. I just get a quickie, so I'll just run it by. And that's, you know, that's selling the art here. To let people know that this is the last select board meeting before the holidays. So if folks have not yet, checked out town hall art property, and they intended to do so for small wonders, there's still time before, coming to do so before the exhibit comes down December 30th during regular count all hours. And then starting on January 6th, the MMU Art Department will be hanging with assistance by the students and the Arts Committee, showcasing the talents of more than 40 students ranging from darkroom photography, drawing, acrylic painting, pottery, mixed media, and fine metals. This exhibit will be on display for the month of January. And we're also encouraging folks who are interested in celebrating the diversity of works and styles of these budding artists to save the date of January 11th from 10 a.m. to 12 for an artist reception. So I think that's really sweet. And that's 40 artists, 40 students that are going to be participating, more than 40 artists. Okay. Yeah. But basically, they had, you know, the other stuff is just, or same thing about the jet force and the movie coming up.
I have nothing for updates.
Yeah.
Trying to find what I know you sent us something.
Oh, yeah, so, Chris Shaheen, there's a packet for you guys, which I scanned to you and Peter, about the, hearing for the upcoming public hearing for the open space changes for the town maintenance facility. So there's a packet for you guys for that. I actually sent it to you. Yep,
No,
it's separate.
it came 3:17 PM.
Today?
Yep.
Yeah, I think I didn't download these.
Yep.
Today?
Yep.
That's
It
so
just-
weird. The select board packet came at 3:17 PM. 2 days ago.
They only send it.
And that's like, yeah, server doesn't work. Think about it, 17.
I also sent you an attachment, just Tom wanted me to pass this along to you guys saying that the funding proposal will be judged sometime in January for the town forest dam removal grant.
Which is terrific, because that's a lot quicker than you thought.
Yeah. And then the other one was this, I received this, this one was after the first two that I sent to you. Was Susan Brissy sent an email and she wanted to pass this along to you guys about specific things that the planning commission is working on to prepare recommendations for the budget.
Yeah, and so I guess my comment on that is those echo the comments made by Chris Brown.
Yep.
At the special meeting, and I guess my only comments are that the time is to get us those recommendations is now.
It really is, because it just, I know that it's a process, but the way this budget's going, like, we still have to deal with finding a date for the capital plan, which could be either June 2nd or June 16th, which it most likely. January, I mean.
Yeah, June
Looks like
2nd.
January
You're
16th
thinking
will be
warm
the
weather.
one, yeah, right? That would be the one, because we have to, post it for hearings. And then.
And your hearings, you
still
require those 15-day notices.
Gotta do some work sessions, we're pretty much, I think everything, Brian has everything in the budget except for one thing. And then he and I and Amy, we're gonna go over it one more time and then bring it to you, and
On January 2nd.
whenever it could be January 2nd, could be.
Or whenever we ask for it.
Whenever you guys wanna do, if you wanna do another work session, however you guys wanna do it, so it just be,
So I just glanced really quickly at Susan's thing because I got it as I was heading out over to school.
Yeah.
I mean, the Riverside water, we've already sort of had that discussion. But the Jericho Center water, I feel like that's like a new thing. I mean,
It is.
Not
It is.
like,
I've been bringing it up a lot lately.
like in the
Yes.
last 3 weeks.
Yes.
And it's like all of a sudden,
Yeah.
it was like wastewater, Riverside.
Now we're
and
going
now
to
it's like,
this.
Riverside and Jericho Center water.
Yeah,
And that's the hardest thing, they are very eager to do a lot of things, but it's the timing and trying to figure out like budget. Like, if you're gonna get a grant, we would need to know what a match is, and if you don't have that kind of information to fulfill or to put in your budget, then we've gotta come up with.
Yeah, and
whatever you're gonna
how
spend.
how broad are we going? Start with the really, the bang for your buck is just to start with the Tetro property. And then move on, and then over time expand, if you want to get developmental density.
Yeah, I think we just need to see those recommendations, but I mean, to your point, we've got a lot to do with just what we have now, just to get the budget presentable, because of the.
Regardless of like advocacy or navigating
Right.
what the percentage is and the amount of tax bill, that all that aside, just getting something we can say like, we're done.
Right.
That's not there.
Yeah, and you've got to be able to do the educational part that needed
Right, we need to
to.
have time to say, yep, it's a big number, but it's a mountain high night, whatever, however we're gonna kind of frame the conversation.
Right, right. And so, yeah, I mean, that's really an important thing here. Are there any
Other updates
updates?
that you had?
No. So should I get back to Susan and let her know like a deadline of?
Tomorrow morning?
Yeah,
9
right.
a.m.?
What exactly are they working on? Because.
So what he said and what I got from her email was next steps, like actions that can be taken for, I thought it was for wastewater.
Yeah,
But-
Riverside wastewater, proceed the
But
next
then I
phase of
did-
engineering with grants and loans as possible. But you can't get grants unless we have,
But in her email, there's 2 bullets. Riverside wastewater, proceeding to the next phase. And then Jericho Center water, proceeding to contract a scoping study to extend water service.
And see, the problem with that, water service doesn't qualify for a UPWP project because it's.
But regardless of the details of like how it's gonna go down, just in terms of like the next month of our lives, like next month of the select board's life. I feel like the wastewater thing. We're like, okay, that's good. And
We
then-
have the 200K in the budget, so
And
people
then
need
the
to.
Jericho Center, so in terms of like, what should Paula tell Susan? I think like, great, we're working on the wastewater, we put 200,000, we're planning on a $200,000 question. And then the Jericho Center water, what does a scoping study cost?
It can be expensive.
Like-
Yeah,
10,000, 100,000, I have no idea.
Any, minimum, a lot more, very often more than 10.
I would
Particularly
say-
when you're talking
Yeah,
the
I
center.
think 10.
And if the budget wasn't happening right now, would she say, oh yeah, well, it's gonna cost probably $30,000, but we haven't planned to get a grant for this, so probably the town's gonna cost 5,000. That, if we weren't timing the budget, that's probably gonna be her response, like, it won't be that much.
Well, that's what, that's what I feel like that's what they're trying to do. Yeah, they're gonna do is, we're still gonna move, I think their plan is still moving forward and trying to find it, but I'm just,
It's hard for us to commit money when we
Yeah.
don't have a thing that they're
right,
saying.
you've entered the 200,000,
I
we
think
have
we're talking-
150,000, we have
I
Chris Shaheen updated his budget to add 10,000, which is gonna be a discussion. I mean, you keep adding and at some point, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
the
because,
Jericho Center water thing is a valid thing that we need to absolutely
absolutely.
consider, and if we want growth there. But I don't think it's a budget item for the 26 budget.
right.
I think unless Susan and the planning commission is able to frame it as, it's gonna be a $30,000 study, and the town's gonna have a matching piece of $5,000, then I'm like, great, that's $5,000, great.
Yeah.
But.
Sure.
But we
if
wouldn't
it's
even
just-
know which one the.
Well, that's what I'm saying, but if it's like, oh, we don't know yet, I feel like we can't, I guess my question would be like, what kind of money is she looking for us to commit to? And if she says, put aside $5,000 and we'll figure out the rest, I'm okay with that, but if it's like, let's put up 30 and hopefully we'll get a grant, that's very different for me.
Especially in a year when we're doing a lot of things.
And people might turn things down because there's just
Too much.
too much.
Right.
Because there's
Now,
a
the
lot,
flip side
there's
is,
there's a lot of new
a
stuff
lot can
going,
happen at that, sorry.
yeah, there's a lot of, new stuff happening in this budget, yeah.
What were you gonna say, Eric?
A lot can change at the
Mhm,
TMRI, right?
mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
They can show up and be like, well, this needs to go in and
And we're
people
putting
like
it-
will
we're
vote
putting it in.
and we put it in, but
But it could go the other way
Can
too.
you actually vote there? Can you?
There will be votes,
No.
at the TMRA, yes, it would be just like a regular town meeting.
they're not binding.
Right,
It's all
right, yeah,
law.
sure.
All,
Yeah,
right, it's all gentleman's agreement.
Sure,
basically.
sure,
Yes.
okay.
Because that you want people to come to a town meeting, so you really.
Right, you don't give them the ability to make changes, I'm not sure.
All right, I'll shoot an email to her.
Does that make sense, Paul, that communication?
Yeah, if we can
Yeah, I
get
mean,
her
we
to get her
we
list
were
of
talking
budgetary
about water
items of what they're thinking
Yeah.
for this budget.
For
Yep.
a few years, I mean, and Matt has been concerned about it too, and he had tried to get a grant once to bring it to the fire station, and that's the first.
Yeah.
Shouldn't talk too much anymore.
Okay.
But even he couldn't get any grant. I mean, some of these things are stuff that you really ought to have, being pushed, I don't even know if there's gonna be, congressional, not earmarks, but whatever they're called, congressional spending that they're stating, or who knows what's gonna happen in January. But, some of these things are things that, if you're trying to work with, our standards or, even back of balance that happens. I mean, and that's what he was trying to do with one of his, for bringing it to the Jericho Center, but he was turned down.
Where we are right now,
Where we are right now is to,
Minutes.
and then, put this up this way. Minutes,
And we do, just to FYI, we don't have the 12-11 minutes completed as of yet, but they will be, I should get them tomorrow or Monday.
I
So
hate
we're
to
gonna
read
have
this,
to-
but I did not read these.
We'll have to,
Well, I have a real, one is in Helen Jane on line 167.
hold on. 67.
Yes, because it says line before 166, transition to Jericho requesting. And then 167, 11,000 for the kids garden program.
Whoa.
It was 11, it was
1,100.
1,100.
Okay. 11,000.
Oh, it says 1,000, but it should be 1,100.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should be 1,100.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's, yeah. Because every year they come in and ask for $1,100.
Oh, okay, so, feel bad. Maybe next year I'll.
I mean, math is not.
Maybe I might think, maybe I might think.
Is that it? Just that one?
And then
Oh.
the other one is is very, it's a technical one.
Okay.
Not, it doesn't change the meaning or anything, but line 198, your verb and your nouns don't match. Road, it says road. It's not even like a road, it just says road may not be well built, so he suggests having an engineer look at them. So it's roads may not be well built.
Okay. That it?
I had one grammar thing that was inconsequential and
Come on.
but I had to circle it.
Say.
I'm not even gonna talk about it. It doesn't matter.
I know, that's why I just, sometimes you get, I like to, you want to make.
Well, I taught English too, so I read something like, oh, circle.
Oh, you did teach English too.
Yeah, all right.
That helps.
I thought both
You're a
English,
math teacher and you're like,
both math and English.
okay.
I mean, that's a really interesting combination.
I always got the interview. They always wanted to meet me.
Motion to accept minutes as amended.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye. And now,
Before we do that, did you give a report or did I miss that? You have any report to give?
No.
Just your staff? No? Okay.
Yep.
I had a couple of quick questions. Stuff from the last meeting. Did Brian ever come back to us with any kind of that checkbook buffer number?
free cash.
No, he did not. I'm trying to think if he did in an email, but he didn't. Do you want me to check with
You
him?
can check with him, yeah,
Mhm.
that feels important.
Yeah, because.
That's a good question. I meant to ask
Because
that.
because what they did was change, we transferred money in and out of the general fund.
And then my other question was, this came from reading the minutes. Someone, either you, Paula, or maybe Dawn mentioned, a grant, sorry, tree removal grant for the emerald ash borer animals. And there was we talked about how it's just it's like a lot of money we didn't have. And in the minutes, it said someone, I think maybe Dawn mentioned like the possibility of a grant and then the town road crew doing stuff as well. Who would be the one that looked into a grant for that?
They're looking at, Sabina's.
I think Sabina and
Right,
she's
Dawn
on
are,
that.
yep.
Yeah.
Rereading the minutes, I was like, oh crap, she's talking about like bad stuff. Like I was like, whatever, it's trees died. Then I was reading the minutes, I was like, oh wow.
But it is
he was pretty
something that we
concerned.
could, I think the highway guys.
I think that's our.
See, the
Well,
first-
it said both- the minutes said
Start
both those
that,
things,
yeah,
like
yeah.
look for a grant and have a highway guy.
Yeah,
start doing it.
Sabina's looking for grants.
Great.
Yep.
And, because they can get up to $50,000, I think it was, from this particular program. Or maybe it's bigger than that. Anyway, they were looking, she was gonna look at that, and then the first year, we were just gonna focus on, let them work on the grant, and then the road crew could, as they had opportunity to do so.
And what was nice about the first grant we got, is they let us be our labor.
Yeah,
So that was
the
really
match,
cool.
right.
So that was nice, like, it's not
Yeah.
actual,
Not
I
having
mean,
to
it is
actual
money, but it's
actual-
money that.
Right, but it's
right.
money, yeah. My other quick question, sorry.
No, that's okay.
Apologize. Phil wrote about the road spec update thing, which you talk about a whole bunch, like This is more like for my information, like, what do we have to do, and is there a
Our
timetable
public
for that?
works
or-
specs need to be redone.
The
It's, I
whole-
think that it was back in 2009.
Okay.
And last town meeting, she had offered to, she wanted $500 in the budget
For
to
striping.
doing for bike
Yep.
bike
I remember
safety.
that.
Yeah, but
So-
because she wanted to change the striping, she added $500 for
Yep.
striping. But what she's talking about, she thought that was their committee, but we're talking, Paul has answered and I did too then, is that I think it's a great idea that she wants to have input but it's really, we're waiting it's the public works person, that's one of the big jobs that person can do to start with is read, right.
But if we hadn't hired one, if we didn't have that money,
Right.
would we still have to do this?
No, because she only put in $500 from the budget.
No, but the,
Right,
but
but
the.
you've been wanting to do it for a
Yes, the
while.
public works specs.
it's
We've been trying for years to
So
do
it's
this.
overdue.
Yes.
So
And
overdue.
let's
It
just
is.
say we don't have a public works person,
It-
because
it
if we
could-
don't,
right.
how does it get done?
It's $50,000 to do it. If you get a consultant to do it.
Is that, who does it? Is it a consultant does it?
Yeah. Chris keeps talking about, so we can just cut and paste from different, Chris,
Different town.
different towns.
She,
No, not if Chris.
Oh, Flynn.
He said, but nobody has the time to do even cut and paste. And then, but the good news we did find out is the actual construction technique from the very first layer of gravel
yep.
To the-
From there, yep.
to the road paving, that's still pretty good material. It's the size of the roads we can't, the lighting fixtures that are public works, they're out of place. You can't even get them anymore to be fixed because they're so far out of date.
So the answer to Phil was, we're gonna work on this and we are happy. you're
I've
willing to
actually
help out.
reached out to Vermont Local Roads, to see if they would be able to help us, kind of guide us or
Figure
maybe
how to
look
start the
somewhere
process.
where we can start
Okay.
doing those. So
Okay,
yes.
Great, thank you very much.
Yeah.
But that reminds me then, have you and Chris and Linda and whatever come up with ideas yet for the UPWP? Because you don't want to let the UPWP money go.
No, we're gonna apply for it.
You
We're
can
gonna
go
use-
to multiple, you can put in applications for multiple ideas.
Yeah, Chris Shaheen was shot down on his ideas.
Oh,
By who?
ZCRBZ.
Oh, okay. Really? Just got in town, he's already been shot down.
Yeah.
I like these coming in
He was
guns blazing.
shot.
I like it coming in guns blazing. That's good for him.
Yeah.
Well, that's true because the money is federal money and it has to, if it's pure planning, you pay for it. But if it's, there is transportation planning or there's transportation dollars. And that's what the UPWP basically is.
Now, take it
I'd like to
away.
make a motion to go into executive session because premature disclosure of information will be detrimental to the parties involved for reasons of personnel and legal. And to the executive session, I would like to invite Paula Carrier and Jessica Alexander. I will second that motion. We'll get you right on that. All right.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.